Welcome back, Style of Play Football. Myself, Theo, Kojo. What you saying, man?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I enjoyed my weekend for once. No Chelsea drama. Just enjoyed the weekend, man. Just doing what you gotta do in it. Just enjoying
Must
it.
be
But
nice. Must be
it was
nice.
nice to be fair. It was nice, very, very nice. Can't say the same about United though. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into all of that, man. But before we do, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the video. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. If you're here as part of the live stream as well, make sure again you get involved, drop some thoughts, comments, questions, all the rest of it as well. Um, let's start with United. Let's start with some transfer news first of all, because there
Mm.
was a lot of talk about where does Marcus Rashford go. First it was Barcelona, then it was I think Dortmund were interested, or another the team in Germany might have been Bayern Munich. I can't remember which team was interested in him, but he's ended up at Aston Villa on loan. It sounds like, I mean, I'm going to ask you this question actually. Is this a step forward or a step backwards for Marcus Rashford?
It's a step. No, it's probably. I mean, to be fair, in terms of form and how both teams have been over the last 2/3 years, it's a step forward. If we're being honest, they're in the Champions League as well. Especially
Mm,
they've got through to the proper. They're not doing playoffs. They're in the knockout straight up. So they're productive. They're productive in that sense. They've not
mm,
been as great as they were last season in the league, but they're still above United.
yeah.
Um, I was going to say step sideways just because Villa are still kind of new to this whole like place where they are right now,
Yeah.
where they are competitions. But no, it's a step forward. You're talking about where the clubs are currently, where they are currently. It's not about size. It's just about who's playing better, who's in the better competitions, and it's Villa. Um, but I think it's a good move for him regardless. Even if Villa weren't in those positions, I think it's a good move regardless. They've got a good team, a good manager. Uh, I think they've got a good environment, a good togetherness, and it will only benefit him to step away from United. I hate saying it because I can't lie. Rashford's one of them man that I I always said it would be very very off to consider him being at another club. Point blank. Period. Forget about even going abroad. Just another club in general. But when you could tell he was trying to go abroad, and fine, that's just to allow it. So he's ended up at Villa, man. But he'll be okay. I wish him the best. He'll be okay, man. So just look after him now.
Do you know what? I feel like it's a good move for him, but I feel like a European move would have been better. And I say that because I feel the press, even now, he hasn't even kicked a football for Villa. You shared something in our WhatsApp group, or someone shared something in there, and the press are already continuing the same nonsense that they were doing whilst he was at United. And look, maybe as footballers, they're they're used to that kind of criticism. They're used to being scrutinized in the papers and all that. But some of the things they're writing about some of these players now, it's like, is it just about his football? Or is it a bigger agenda, which we've spoken about on here before? But I think it's a good move for Marcus Rashford. I think Unai Emery's I like him as a manager. I think he's got the best out of some of his attacking players when he was, in La Liga, in Arsenal as well. It's a good move, but I think it's a move that it has to work for Rashford now. Four managers at United can't be wrong. And
No, but see,
do you know what I mean?
no, I hear you, and it's not even a case of defending Rashford. But the one thing I used to say, which I haven't said in a while, but one thing you say about United, Rashford, and anybody else is you can't expect consistency from players in a very inconsistent environment.
Mm,
So, geez, man, that Basil. So, when it comes to United and Rashford, the one thing I always talk about United, and I always say, I think Basil's been there. I've said it many times. Man, F has a spoiled brats. So once the success
true.
went away, when the success went away, they started finding scapegoat after scapegoat after scapegoat. How many times you've heard someone's a virus? How many times you heard someone is a leak? How you heard sometimes some person is the problem in the squad, and then that person goes and there's still problems. Rashford's gone, and they've already started on Kobe Mainu. By the way, that's another theme. I think we all know the theme there, but hey man, that's another last conversation for another day. That's a long one to go through.
But
Um,
but that's
but
why I think it's important though for Rashford to make sure that people know that and realize that he wasn't the problem at United. Do you get what I mean? So I think if he's
I'm
at
not,
Villa,
I'm not gonna lie. there's no point talking or saying anything. And genuinely, because no matter how many times this happens, it's going to continue to happen. It's sad.
Oh, it
It's sad
will.
to say. It's sad
It
to
will.
say. And
It will.
when I say this, United fans, they think it's me trying to like rush to his defense of his performances. Criticizing performances is one thing. That's fine. You're in a very high profile sport in sport, so people are going to talk about you consistently. Unfortunately, that's what it is. But talk about his football. It's when it gets past all the rubbish that it comes through with it. That's where it gets jarring. And United, from the days of Ravel Morrison to now, don't protect players. They don't look after their
Yeah.
own. So yeah, that's just another person who's unfortunately fallen to the unfortunate environment at United. But hey, you reap what you sow, man. These fans, they'll get what's coming to them. They don't seem to understand um, just how bad this is, and they always cry about the Glazers, but then they cry about the players that.
Mm.
Yeah, anyway, yeah. I hope he does
No, I
well, man.
hear.
He'll do well. He'll do well, man. He'll do well.
I think he will. I think he will. Basil's joined us as well for anyone that's listening on the audio version. Basil, Marcus Rashford very quickly loan deal. I think it's about 90% of the wages with incentives to Aston Villa. Is that a good move in your opinion to for Marcus Rashford to Villa?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he needs a refresh, so at least he has that. Definitely needed that. It's a strange. I can understand why Villa have done it because they just need more. They they just need more depth up front. What they feel. Whether Rashford becomes a success during the last few months, it remains to be seen. Because there's the reason why I say it is because there's a lot of competition. So, and I was speaking to a friend yesterday, and I said he's not. He won't be a guaranteed starter. And the reason why I say this is because you're talking about a player who's been out of form now for the last 2 years, maybe even longer. And so you're bringing him in, asking him to recreate the form now because Villa have quite a few players. If he's not performing well, he can easily find himself on the bench. We've seen it with even the likes of Bailey when he had his purple patch for
Yeah.
starting, quickly found himself back out of the team. So a lot of people think he'll be a success. He might be a success, but I'm not too sure. I think we have to wait and see because, like I said, if he goes there and he's given 3 games to start and doesn't perform, he'll easily find himself on the bench because they have the likes of Ramsey, they have the likes of Bailey. They're bringing in Asensio, so they have options
Yeah.
there, which
Yeah.
means you have to be at the top of your game to keep your place in the team. And then secondly, if they do want to utilize him up front, Ollie Watkins is their number one, so he has to be consistent if they're going to utilize him as a striker to play regularly because Ollie Watkins is the favourite player. I mean, like I said, it's not a bad deal for Villa. It means more bodies. I mean, they've still got FA Cup, Champions League, and fighting for
Yep.
a top 4. So more bodies isn't a bad thing, but it just depends on whether they can actually get something out of him during that period.
Well,
But I
options.
think, like Rashford needed a refresh. It doesn't matter where he was going to go. He just needed a new environment to kind of start over again. And yeah, we'll see. I think he needs it more than Villa needs it. So, like I said, I'm glad he can get away from the environment of what Kojo was saying, the kind of toxic environment that the media was painting, and even as Kojo says, some of the fans were painting with him, and he can kind of step away from that and start afresh somewhere else.
Yeah, it's opportunity, isn't it? I mean, obviously now they saw Duran, and yesterday, whenever Villa played, um, Watkins got injured, so and
Yeah.
they're a bit worried about the severity of that as well. So now comes opportunity because Marlon didn't play bad. He got some good positions. One goal was offside. The other one he should have probably done better, but he's shown they can get in the positions. So that's someone to challenge you already in the middle on the left
I think
side.
I even forgot to mention Marlon too.
There you go. But no, but this is the point, and this is why I wanted at United. I've always said when I want United to rebuild, I didn't imagine him being one of the players to go, but I always felt that he needed real competition.
Nah,
I'm
he
not talking.
he needed he needed to move on from United. I think.
Oh, I agree, but at the moment, at that moment in time, I was hoping that he would be one of the last to go in the sense of like
Mm.
if you're rebuilding because you don't. Whether Man United fans like it or not, he's still our best attacker. Whether they like it or not, it's just what it is. He's still our best attacker going forward. Ahmad's done great this year, but he's still very new to this
Yeah.
new level, and we're seeing what he's doing. Hopefully, he can continue it next year. Garnacho is very inconsistent, so he can't be. He's not better than Rashford. You know what I mean? I'd have to talk about Lenny Kravitz and Logan Paul up top. Um, so, so
Uh,
um, Honestly, look, it is what it is. I just hope you can go on and do well there, man. It's just go and play your ball, man. That's what I can say. Just go and play your ball.
Before we move on from United, obviously Crystal Palace 2, United 0 yesterday. Mateta with 2 goals. Um, like, I mean, we've spoke about, obviously this is Ruben Amorim's first stint at United. He's not going to turn miracles overnight. He's not going to be able to bring in his own players that he wants to bring in. Ideally, essentially, this all of them anyway. This transfer window. So, is it a case of just writing the season off? I know this is kind of like a scratch record moment for United. It feels like we've said this a couple of times about them, but is it just a case of writing the season off, letting Amarin bring his players in the summer? Um, it's just you just don't know where the wins are coming from for United. So it's. I mean, I didn't see Crystal Palace winning 2-0. Kojo, what do you think? Did you like what happens now?
You you didn't. You didn't. Thing is, the season was written off the day that we allowed Ten Hag to stay after the FA Cup final. To be quite frank
Yes.
with you, and you know, I sat on this platform and I told you guys I don't have confidence in him, and the theme has continued. The unfortunate thing for Amorim is these are still old regime players, and this is I think this is part of the reason why he wanted to come in the summer. Just finish the season with Sporting, really plan and look around to see who we can get into the team and all that with a full window. It's just what it is. But in terms of the performance, look, I can. It's just a case of same old, man. I can't keep banging this drum over and over again. It's you got players that will perform and then they'll just let you down again. He lost Martinez to an injury, but the guy that's been being praised a lot at the back for being strong in the back three again because he's doing the same thing he was doing for England apparently. Also, Maguire, the first one, header off the bar. Onana, less said the better. But everyone knows when you are defending a set piece, just because it goes maybe over you and your marked opponent to the other place, it doesn't mean you turn off. You still need to be aware of what's going to happen. And he just let Mateta walk away from him very easy. Second one, you see that your centre backs have pushed forward because they're trying to get Munoz and Mateta offside. They successfully do that, but Maguire hangs back. It's just it's very very annoying, and it's very annoying because on that day Euro was actually really good. So you can see he's getting better, he's improving. He's still a young boy. He's got a lot to learn, but it was a really good performance from him. Martinez was okay until he got injured, obviously. So and I think he's out for the rest of the season. So that's
Yeah.
another blow. And then yeah, it's just one thing after another. And he keeps taking Ugarte off because Ugarte gets tired after 65 minutes. But unfortunately for us, we don't have anyone else with an engine like his in our midfield to chase and harass opponents and win the ball back, whether it's being very aggressive or just reading the game a little bit. So he's got a lot to work on and find. But yeah, the season was done I told you the season was done from the time we signed that guy, man, or to a new contract. So yeah, summer just coming. But right now, we can't talk about summer, bro. It's February the 3rd. So he has to find wins. He got no choice.
He's
He's
got
got
to,
no
man.
choice. He's got to find a wins, get wins. He's got no choice, man. So
10
yeah, but
points off
another
the bottom three, man. It's not looking rosy, man. It's not looking good at all.
getting caught up by Tottenham. It's peak times, bro. It's peak times.
Peak times, man. Peak times. Let's move on to the big game, because the big game, Arsenal 5, Man City 1. The floor is yours, Basil, man. take your moment, man. Listen.
What did
I
I
think
tell you?
Sorry,
What did I tell
before
you?
Basil starts, I'm not gonna say any names. I just want to see if he
Okay.
praises a certain individual for his performance. But go for it. Shoot.
What did I told you we were going to spank City. You guys should have heeded my warning. No, I'm joking.
You didn't even believe that yourself.
No, do you know what? It was a surprise performance for me, but it was a fantastic performance from Arsenal. There's a combination of two things. There's a combination of Arsenal upping their performance and Arsenal actually doing something different. But I think that's because City allowed them to, because it wasn't the same tactics of going out wide and crossing. There were times. This is probably the only time, or one of the few times this season we've actually played the ball in behind through the middle against City, or attempted to actually do that. And I think that's more because of how dysfunctional City have been all season. Um, yeah, City. I don't even know where to start, because City for me, I cannot understand for the life of me how bad they've become. And like I said, it's still the same. It's still the same players at the back. This isn't. You're not talking about they're having to play youth or having to play someone completely different. It's still the same players that have helped City to win their Champions League, to win their league titles. So I just don't understand how they've become this bad. But like I said, I lay the blame at Pep. I've always said he once players drop their levels to about a 7 or 8, doesn't know what to do with them. You can't keep working with 10 out of 10s. You need to find a balance between working with players who can operate at a 7 and players who maybe operate at a 6 maybe. And that's the reason why, like I said, for me, I don't put Pep in my top 3 of managers. There's other managers I put above him because they've shown they can adapt and be successful in different types of environments and situations. Special mention to Phil Foden too, because obviously during the week he was talking about how him playing out of position affected his performance in the Euros when basically you started on the left, but basically you're basically still playing in the middle because you didn't stay on the left. You had a roaming role where you could actually operate wherever you wanted. And that just tells me exactly the type of environment that they have. There's a lack of accountability that seems to be seeping through City players. That when they lose certain matches, there's always is an excuse. It's they didn't want to play football. Oh, it was negative. Oh, it was this and that. There's a lack of accountability there that these players have become so spoilt that they can't see that when I'm not doing well, it's on me. I need to change something. And I'm glad we gave them a spanking because they need a reality check. But for me, Arsenal were brilliant. I have nothing like Wanieri, fantastic goals. Maresca was fantastic on the day. I know Kojo is waiting for a specific name for me to say.
But
Rice was great.
Basmati, talking about
Rice,
Basmati, yeah.
Rice was good on the
That was
day.
a pure
Give him that.
Jollof performance there, bro. That was top tier
I
Jollof.
give him
Yeah.
that. Rice was very good on the day. And I'll say this, I'm sorry, like yesterday just highlights why for me Havertz next season should not be in anywhere near our starting lineup
Yeah,
next season. Because the big issue you have, even though he scored the fourth goal, that's what happens when there's no pressure. The hard work was done by everyone else. So it's easy to kind of do that when there's no pressure. Because I did say to a friend, if that was 1-1, I guarantee you that Havertz isn't making an attempt on goal or isn't probably hitting the target with that strike. The reason why I was able to do that because he has less time to think and there's less pressure because we're already 2 goals up on City. Whereas the key moments are, as you said, when you need that goal to kind of give yourself a lead or relieve the pressure, doesn't know what to do. Because I said, even the first goal, even though the right decision was to play it to Odegaard, I'm telling you this, most top strikers wouldn't be passing that ball to Odegaard. But that just shows you the lack of
yeah,
competence he had. And then it was compounded by the miss he had to make it 2-0. Arsenal still have problems up front in terms of I don't know where we go with Havertz as our main striker because he just isn't a difference maker when it counts. And it's so sad that that's the negative I have to pull out from such a fantastic performance. That even though he scored, for me, it was still a 3 out of 10 on the day. For me, he was the worst player, the worst Arsenal player because there were worse City players, the worst Arsenal player on that pitch. And that goal for me doesn't it doesn't mask how bad or how no not even bad how bad sorry it doesn't mask how ineffective because I don't want to say bad because I don't think he was bad for me he was ineffective for the majority of the game. It doesn't mask how ineffective he was for the majority of the game, and I think it just shows me that we've lowered our standards to accepting mediocrity because I think he does the bare. I don't think Havertz is a good player at all personally. I think what we've done with players is we live off the reputation that they played for big clubs, so he's played for Leverkusen, Chelsea and Arsenal, and we think they're good. But I've always said, if they're not playing for those clubs and then playing for other clubs, you'll see the level that they've at. We had Coquelin, and once upon a time, people were saying Coquelin was a good midfielder. I didn't agree with that, but people are saying that. Look at Coquelin's career since he's left Arsenal. What happens is that when these teams are no longer under the spotlight playing the big clubs, you realize their level. And for me, Havertz isn't of the level to play for a big club. And what we've done is that we've accepted mediocrity where players do the bare minimum and we say, oh no, they're doing good, they're doing well done. But I'm like, no, if you judge it by the normal standards of how you judge a footballer, not good enough.
yeah,
That's the only negative I have. But apart from that, fantastic performance is just whether we can continue and build on that and chase Liverpool down. I mean, our next few Premier League fixtures are quite favourable, so we should be able to win our next 4 or 5 games and put the pressure on Liverpool. Technically, we're based on the teams that we have next, but it's Arsenal, so you never know. I mean, we have the like Leicester and West Ham are our next two fixtures, which should be
You know who's
on
after
paper,
that, though, innit? Do you know who's after
on
that?
paper, on paper, we should be getting 6 points out of those matches. But it's Arsenal, and they make things difficult for themselves. So we never know. So we kind of have to take it game by game because at the moment Liverpool are winning by hook and by crook.
By crooks after that Bournemouth performance. But Forest after that, so you got Leicester, West Ham, Forest, United, then Chelsea, 16th of March. Some, I mean, yeah, winnable games there, winnable, 100%. Kojo quickly on City as well. I mean, they just didn't turn up. They just didn't turn up. It was much of the same that we've seen at City. You know, no legs in the midfield. Akanji, John Stones were just awful at the back. Ortega and goal just didn't have the best of days. Haaland was kept quiet for 75-80% of the game. Again, I'm talking about writing off a season. I feel like City's best hopes now will be to potentially either win the Champions League, which is very, I mean, the odds must be stacked against them. And obviously, their thoughts of trying to win the Premier League must be dashed and put to bed now. What's the best case scenario for City fans this season now?
Finish in the top four. That's it. I don't think they win the Champions League. I think they're going to lose to Real Madrid as well in the playoffs. So, which is funny because Madrid lost to Espanyol 1-0. So there's inconsistency everywhere. But Madrid are still top of their league, so they've got something to breathe upon.
I'll tell you this, Coach, quickly. The big difference between, even though they're so bad defensively, City are just worse defensively, and I think that's is a lot more potent. Even though they're bad defensively, is a lot more potent than the City one.
Yeah, exactly. But look, fourth is the best place for them right now. Just top four in general. It's a weird season for them because not even a weird season, it's just a horrid season. But Basil also agreed that I think Basil's been saying it as well. I think we've all been saying it for a while. You can't be afraid to go against City and just go and attack them. You have to press them. You have to go for them. So a lot of City's, the idea of City being so fearful is that, you know, the whole thing about they get to control the ball and do this and the other. Pep has tried to adapt and change the team year by year. I don't know for what particular reason, but it's been breaking down bit by bit. And I did say it last week. It will sound crazy to say, considering they won the treble, but they weren't phenomenal going for the treble. Yeah. And I think that's a fair thing to say. I can say about United 99. We didn't play great, apart from a night in Juventus. The overall run of it, we didn't play fantastic. In the final, Bayern spanked them, but Man United won the final. In the game against Inter, Inter didn't spank them, but Inter had chances where they should have scored. Lukaku missing from 2 yards being one of them. You know, since then they've just been a bit shaky. So we've seen the gaps, and now any team's not afraid to get at them, and that's the whole point. But that's what football is. And Arsenal, from the first second, they pressed them and they got that goal. You could tell that something was going to happen. But what I will say is this: the moment I realized City would lose the game was when number 5's goal went in. I'm not saying his name. Number 5's goal.
Because I noticed how Basil never mentioned him. I did.
Yeah, I know. He done very well. But I have to mention his goal because anyone that's known me or I've done podcasts for about 8, 9, maybe even 10 years now. The one thing I always complain about is the art of defending and how it's gone away. And John Stones cowardly turning his back to a shot.
Yeah.
When you turn your back and it hits you, you have no clue. You don't know where it's going. And in that sense, you create your own luck. From that moment there, conceding the goal after 38 seconds of equalising on the other end, I knew it was game done there. So, yeah, well done to Arsenal, man. You can't be afraid of these teams, man. You have to just go for their neck. And that's what they did.
I add on to what Kojo said quickly. I think it's the fear factor that's gone, because the reason why City, what people don't realize, City haven't always been great during the Pep era defensively. The issues is that City have always just won the ball back so quickly and then just kept possession. And obviously because of that, the fear factor, because obviously City, as always, Pep is like, Pep teams are very slow moving the ball, and then the final third, then obviously a split second, that final third, they can move it quickly and score a goal. And there's always been that fear factor from teams. But I've always said City haven't always been great defensively during that tenor. It's just that teams have always been scared to get at them, because during those periods, even the periods Kojo mentioned, teams have got at City but have not taken their chances. And it's always like if you don't take your chance against City, they're gonna hurt you, and that's what's happened a lot of the time. But from this season, the fear factor is completely gone. People don't respect City's defense, and as Kojo mentioned in the beginning, they don't respect their midfield because apparently somehow they seem quite leggy in midfield. They don't
Yeah.
press it much. They don't track people properly. I don't know what's going on there. So because of that, the fear factor when people say, "Oh, we can get at City," teams will create one or two chances and realize, "Oh, we're having joy creating chances." And now what you find is that teams just continually like to attack City. They don't sit back. They don't try to create one or two chances and realize, "Oh, we haven't taken them. Let's sit back." It's like, "Oh, we've created two." They're encouraged and they start to decide we're going to continue to do this. And because of that, City just don't know what to do now because they've never
Mm.
had to deal with teams going at them as much as they have in previous seasons.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be like a plan B for them. I think if plan A is not working, they haven't got a plan B, and I think they just fall apart. They are looking to bring in Nico Gonzalez, I think, before the window shuts tonight. Another bit of midfield depth, but I don't think that's the be and end all. What I will say about City is I think come the summer, I think they'll do a bit more business. I think if they bring in Gonzalez, I think that'll be 200 million or thereabouts spent so far. I think they'll bring in some play. I think they'll dominate next couple of seasons. I will say that about City.
I
I
I
think they'll.
don't know.
I think they
Go
won't
on,
be able to do some business soon.
Which is,
go
but that's why I think they're doing a lot of it now, and I think they'll get an opportunity in the summer to make some signings, and then the embargo is going to hit. But they'll have already they'll be sorted by then. They'll get a goalkeeper. They'll bring in another defender. They'll bring in two midfielders and maybe another winger.
I disagree with you, Theo. Because I don't think
Mm,
they'll bring in the same level of quality. Because when you look at the makeup of the City teams in the past, they've had company, they've had De Bruyne, who's been like the linchpin. They've had obviously Haaland is still. They've had Aguero. And when I'm looking at
mm,
some of the players coming in now, even letting go of Mares was a quality player. I don't see
yeah,
them at the same level of quality. Bernardo Silva's getting on. He just does not seem like the same player whatsoever. But I'm looking at it as like they can bring in players, but can they really bring in players of that level of quality that would allow
I
them
think
to
they still
dominate?
can. I think
I
they
think
can.
I
I
think
think they
I
can.
think they're bringing players to compete. I don't know
Mm,
if they'll be good enough to have that same level of dominance City were once used to. So that's what
mm,
I question personally. I think they'll be back to being competing, but having that level of
yeah,
dominance, I don't know if there's players out there who are fit to lace the boots of some of the players that they've had during that period. And
it's a fair
finally,
point.
I make this final point because I have to go back to him. Foden is not fit to have a
Ah,
team built around.
come
He's
on, of
not fit
course.
to have a team built around him. Sorry to say.
The fact that he was player of the season still rattles me to the point where I'm just like, I can't believe it. I can't, not even because I think Cole Palmer should have got it or anything like that. There was just other players,
I
in
agree.
my opinion, that was way ahead of him. And I think he had a really good season, but was he player of the season? I
No,
can't see that.
he had a good second
But
half of the season.
you know
Mm,
how
That's what
it
he had.
goes though. You know how it goes though. Like obviously, for example, this year, Isaac's only started playing football properly from December, but he was given half the year of team of the season. It's weird. Think about Foden. Obviously, Foden's obviously very talented. We all know this, but I
Yeah,
think he's a victim of two things. One, being way overpraised by the media and by everyone around that, especially City fans trying to make noise. No one really cares about their noise, but media in particular. And number two, I still think you guys might think I'm wrong, but I still think he's been misprofiled. I don't care what he's done for City in terms of winning accolades or how many goals or assists he's got.
Mhm.
He even calls himself a centre midfielder. I don't think you're a centre midfielder, mate.
mm.
I
What
think
do
you're
you
just a
think?
pure 10. And you're not even a creative pure 10 because he's not. He doesn't give you creative numbers or creativity in the middle of the pitch. He's more of a tight spaces 1-2 type player. He's not
Yeah,
someone that can drag the ball from midfield, or he's not someone that's going to cut in from the left or the right. So I think with that being said, it might be crazy to say it to see if as, but it might be better for him to kick off somewhere else. Personally.
I think it does. I agree with you, Coach. I don't think City's right for him personally because he's just because he's comfortable adapting in that
Oh
city.
yeah,
Like look at
same team in it.
and the biggest example is just Cole Palmer. If Cole Palmer was at City and playing regularly, you will not see the freedom. You not see the Cole Palmer we see at Chelsea. Sometimes you need to leave enjoy yourself in a different environment and allow yourself to be a bit more expressive where there isn't, and it seems it's crazy where there doesn't seem to be like some level of restrictions as to how to play, what to do, as there is in City. And I
You
think
sort
if
of saw that
Foden,
with Marmoush as well yesterday. Sorry, but with Marmoush, I felt like he was the shackles are already on him. It was
yeah,
mad watching him.
Imagine
yeah,
signing a nine like that with all the movement. I see his end product is a bit 50-50, but he's so peaked to defend against. And you bring him into the team and say, yeah, go left wing. What are we doing? What are we doing? Just
mm.
send him back to Frankfurt then. Send him back already. Send him back alone. Here's what it is, man. It's poor. Anyway, that guy's responsible for ruining football, but that's another conversation for another day, man.
Oh, Jesus. Do you know what I do want to mention before we get on some transfer news? I want to talk about Nottingham Forest because it, Kojo will know about 7-0s if anyone knows what we're talking about. Kojo knows what I'm talking about. But
That's cheeky.
but I'll say no more. I'll say no more. But yeah, Nottingham Forest 7, Brighton 0. I mean, if there was going to be a Manager of the Year award, I think I said it to you guys before a couple of weeks back, it'll go to Arnie Slot. But yeah, Nuno for me has changed everything
Yeah.
that I probably disliked about the Premier League, and he's making me love the Premier League again because it's just a breath of fresh air to watch Nottingham Forest, man. But Basil, what do you think about Forest? They look in good shape now to get their top four finish, Champions League football. You can't knock them, man. They've done well. They've done well.
Deservedly. I mean, I was one of those people. They proved me wrong. I think when it was like game maybe 13 or 14, I remember I was listening to talks about they're talking about them finishing top four. And I was thinking, don't get ahead of yourself. They will revert back to type, and also the results will start to trickle down, and they won't continue. But credit to Northern Forest, credit to Nuno, and credit to those players because they have just continued, and the position they're in now is thoroughly deserved. It's
Yeah,
down to tactical preparation, getting the players playing correctly, having a good system on the pitch, a combination of quality and also working hard on and off the ball. I mean, like I said, and I like the statement you made earlier, Theo, where it's like it makes you realize, fall in love. It makes you go back to the reason why I enjoy football because their wingers operate as wingers. They get the ball, they're very direct. Like it's none of this like messing around on the ball, wasting time. Is get the ball, go direct, run it down the wings, cause havoc against their
yeah,
fullbacks, and either create an opening for yourself to get a shot off or put the ball in the box. Simple. No messing around. None of
yeah,
this. Oh, just passing for the sake of passing. None of this. And one thing I do hate about football too is when I hate when wingers have the ball and then they pass it back when they have the opportunity to take on their man. Honestly, it's one of my biggest frustration
yeah,
when watching football. I'm like, what happened? Wingers nowadays don't know how to dribble or take on players, and I was like, what happened to that? Whereas now I watch in Forest, their wingers, no nonsense. Give me the ball, I'm gonna take my players, and you can see just how bamboozled the Brighton fullbacks or even those who were doubling up were against the wingers. And like I said, it's just no nonsense. We're organized as a team, defend properly, but then when we get the ball, we're fast and direct. And I love that with Nottingham Forest, and they deserve the position that they're in. I generally think they will finish in the top four
mm,
because they've got the players playing. There's a level of confidence and there's a level of consistency there. And also give a big shout out to Chris Wood. I like to. For me,
yeah,
he's not the most fantastic of footballers, but as a striker, does his job well. He knows what runs to make, where to position himself. And it's just like as a team, if you put the ball and provide me with the service, I will do the rest. And he's a throwback to what centre forwards need to get back to doing, which is thinking about goals, thinking about your runs, and thinking about your positioning, doing it right. And
yeah.
there you go. You'll reap your rewards.
2010 World Cup, Chris Woods was there. So it shows the longevity that he's had at the top of
Uh,
his game as well. So, Kojo, one thing I like about Forest, they don't have to retain possession of the football. I think the last couple of games, they've had fewer possession than the oppositions that they've been coming up against. But I mean, yeah, they look like a team that's allowing other teams to have the ball, do what they want with it. But when they have the ball, they're so killer instinct in front of it. They've got some tough games coming up as well. So let's just looking at this here: Arsenal, City, United, Villa away, Tottenham. I know Tottenham's Tottenham, but let's throw them in there for banter. last game of the season though, Chelsea as well. Like that could go down to the wire. If both teams, Chelsea are needing 3 points as well. Can you see Forest getting into the top four?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Mm. Who misses out
Yeah.
then? That's the better question.
Oh,
So
that's
it
a
would
good
be
question.
what City. So you got Liverpool top, then Arsenal second, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Where first, third?
Yeah, Forest are third. City are fourth. So it's Forest, City, then it's Newcastle, but City and Newcastle on the same points and
Oh,
same goal difference. Then it's Chelsea below them, and then I think it's Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, Villa.
Uh, Bournemouth under Chelsea, and then Villa.
Yeah,
But then
interesting.
Bournemouth are on but if you discount because Villa are on 37, Bournemouth are on 40. I
yeah.
think Chelsea
We're
are
on
on
40, but we play tonight. So if we win, we go back into the top four.
Yeah, and then I think the two above them are on 41. So Newcastle and
Yeah, City.
City are both on 41. So
Yeah,
Villa on 37. So if you want to, if we just discount Villa, they're still in it. If you just discount Villa, just for now, it's tight
yeah.
because Bournemouth are on 40. Then from
Mm.
like I said, it's like 1 point between Bournemouth and City in fourth.
No, it is. City could actually drop out because it's
Yeah, they
funny because no, because
could.
before this game, they had what won their last two, and before
Yeah.
that, draw one and won one. So it looked like they were getting back into a groove, and then they hit for five like that. It can rattle you. But then let's see what they do if they do what Forest did, because Forest got hit by five by Bournemouth,
Mm.
already hit seven. You know what I mean? Against a Brighton side that Brighton started the season well, and they went over a bit of a poor patch, and then they won that against United, and they've been dealt with in this game. So it just might be City because with Newcastle, even though Newcastle did lose against Fulham, they've also been in good form. Isaac's found his shooting boots.
They did lose against Fulham. They lost 2-1 in the end.
That's what I'm saying. That's when they lost against Fulham. So just recently they
Oh, yeah,
lost, but
yeah.
overall they've still been in good form. They were on a winning streak, weren't they? And Bournemouth somehow know how to get results out of nowhere. Even though I do want to say that Justin Cliver suddenly forgot his shooting boots against the team that's top of the league. But hey, man, hey, sure. Um, but yeah, no, look, it's uh, it might be them. It might be. I think I do. I'm going to back Forest for top four. I'm going to back Forest for top four. The other teams don't really concern me. I just want them in the top four. I think it'll be good for the. They deserve it. To be quite frank, I think that's the best way to say it. They just deserve it. And
I
Chris
think
Wood is
so.
bringing real number nines back. That is the best
Yeah.
striker in the league right now.
Mm.
No questions asked. He didn't start in December, by the way, guys. Just putting it out there. He started from day one. So yeah, man.
Uh,
I respect it. No, I respect it, man. I'd love to see Forest back in there. I think just more so they've got history in European competitions as well. Be good for the city. And it's just I like the underdog. Like I never had them there top four this point in the season, or even coming into the back end of the season. I would never have put Nottingham Forest there. So I think they're almost the underdogs of what they're doing. And like I said, that's a lot of credit for me down to the manager, to certain players that have stepped up. Even some of the players that you probably would have overlooked, like the Alangas and Hudson Odoi's. They're stepping up a little bit more and doing what they need to do as well. Morgan Gibbs White, another one. But
I'll say
yeah,
this.
I want to see them in there. Sorry, go on.
No, I'll say this good. Yeah, so Morgan Gibbs White, he's always one I've always wanted at Arsenal. I think he's a
Yeah, he's a good
fantastic.
player. Very good player.
Unfortunately, now his price, and obviously now he's also captain of Forest. His price tag is going to go up. I think they'll want, if anyone wants him, they'll want like 80 to 90 million for him personally.
Mm.
I think he's an exceptional midfielder. He's one that for me is overlooked, and he has the
100%.
quality as any other good midfielder right now in the league. And then secondly, usually I've never been one to give manager of the year for managers who don't win the league, because I think there's always something about winning the league. But this is the one
Yeah.
time I go against that, because usually some people say, "Oh, yeah, this is the one time I'll go against that and say, you know what?
Mm.
If Forest get a top four, then
Mm.
Nuno absolutely deserves
I
to
think so.
deserve the manager of the year, because only for this reason: one, they were a relegation battling team for the last 2 seasons, so take from that
Mhm.
to finish in top four. Secondly, look at the teams that would have had to have they would have had to have over the teams that would have to finish above to finish in. If let's say they finish third, Chelsea, Newcastle being in a good form, and City, that's not an
Mm.
easy feat. So and obviously, like I said, they are still close to Arsenal. Even though I think Arsenal finished second, they're still close to Arsenal. So they're keeping even Arsenal in second place honest. So I think if they do it, he probably deserves it.
No, I agree. I agree with that as well. What are you saying? You agree in there, Kojo?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Me and Basil hardly agree on things, so I think it'd be good to agree for something for
Doesn't happen often, but when it does, yeah, it's good, man. But let's talk some transfers, because obviously transfer deadline day, 11 p.m. cut off. There's been some mad stories coming out already. I'm seeing Spurs trying to get Mark Guehi from Crystal Palace, throwing stupid bids in.
£70 million bid rejected. What
Listen,
are they doing? What are they doing?
what do you know what they're doing? They're in that panic stage now, aren't they? They're
No,
clearly
but bro, sorry, no. But no, this is not panic stage. This is stupid. If that guy,
stupidity. Go on.
if the guy did go on TalkSport and start talking about the fact that you can pass PSL with flying colours and spend millions, they'd still be sitting around here doing nothing. You have had Archie Gray suffering at centre back since December for no reason. For no reason.
Yeah.
The other centre back that's supposed to be next to him, Dragusin, is an absolute disgrace. He's been suffering there by himself for no reason. So much so that you put Ben Davies there, and look what happened. You got to win, and you're telling me that it's now that you're going to go and find Kevin Danso, who's actually Ghanaian, but he's cosplaying us for another country, and now you're gonna go and get this guy. It's a joke. It's a joke, man. It's a joke. This
Thing
is
is,
why
though,
Levy sucks. This is why he
well,
sucks, genuinely.
he does, because he tried to sign Axel Disasi as well yesterday and this morning. Both of those have been failed. I think Disasi wants to move to Villa, but I don't think that move's even going to happen now. So, one Chelsea news that I am happy about, or a couple, looks like Nkunku's staying. I'm glad about that, because I like Nkunku. I think he needs to stay at the club. And just loads of things are coming through here now. Yeah, Nacho's gone to Sevilla as well. Did not see that one coming. And Chilwell going to Palace. I think that will be good. I like Ben Chilwell. I think he's a good left back, and I think the way that he's been treated by the club is, to me, is mad mental. But Crystal Palace loan deal. Baz, what do you think of that? Crystal Palace coming in for Ben Chilwell.
It's a strange one because I think Mitchell's done well for them. So even bringing him in, I don't know if he would be a guaranteed starter, because I've always had questions. In fairness, I've always liked Ben Chilwell. In fairness, I've always thought him to be a good player. There are questions about him over the last few years about his defensive abilities, and I think he's been more exposed at Chelsea. But I think overall he's a good, competent left back. I don't know, because like I said, I think Mitchell does well for Crystal Palace.
He does.
Which is why I didn't fully understand the move for Ben Chilwell personally. Because I would have thought for Palace there would have been other areas that would have probably looked to strengthen. But it's not a bad move. It means at least Crystal Palace get a good quality player at the club, and it's a good move for Chilwell, because I have felt sorry for him in terms of the way he's just been like outcasted at Chelsea. Considering the fact that they have had problems in that position if Cucurella isn't available, in terms of, they didn't really use Vega. They've played Malo Gusto there.
Gusto, James.
They played James there. So then it's like, I would never. I hate when managers do that, because it comes to bite them in the bum. For me, it's like have a conversation with a player that, you know what, you're not going to play that much. If opportunity comes, you will play, but don't outcast and compete, because then when you don't have options, it's like, who do you then bring in? So
that's happening now. That's what's happened now, though.
Yeah, I don't think he's been that bad, but at least he's still, for me, still good enough to be a squad player at a minimum. Obviously, not a regular startable squad player, but I'm happy that he's got a move, because I think he can start to kickstart his career again after being like in the wilderness of Chelsea since summer.
Yeah, he's only made one appearance this season off the bench against Barrow. I think he got 10 minutes against Barrow. So, listen, I think a mad one. What do you think, Kojo, on that one, Ben Chilwell?
I mean, it's good for them to have options at left back, Palace.
Yeah.
So if Mitchell gets injured, you can actually have a pure second left back there, rather than having to put like Nathaniel Klein there or something. So that's a good option to have. And if he can make it work, I think that's the most important thing. If he can force his way into the team, get some performances in there. So he'll be the Chilwell that was highly rated before he went to Chelsea, because he was a good player at Leicester. He was so.
I forget he's a Champions League winner as well. Forget how well he played in that Champions League campaign for us as well. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
no,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So hopefully he does well, man. And then that means in the summer he can probably get a move anyway. So yeah, good luck to him. Good luck to him.
Evan Ferguson, your second team, Kojo, West Ham. Look like they've signed him. Um, I'll be honest, I don't like. Part of me likes Evan or what I've seen so far of Evan Ferguson, but I don't get the hype at the same time, if that makes sense, Kojo. So do you think that's a good move for West Ham? I mean, Full Krug, I think is he injured or is he out? I don't know what's happened to him.
I think
Antonio's
he's
out.
injured.
So
Yeah.
what's this move for Ferguson? Is this like almost reviving the career that looked potentially like it was going on a good path for Ferguson?
Yeah, no, yeah, no. I think the move suits him. Looking at how they're gonna play under Potter, which I
Mm.
think Potter is familiar with him as he was a youngster coming up
Yeah, forgot about
through the
that.
ranks. So that'll be key number one. But more so for his, I mean, I don't want to say for his career because he's still very very young. But it's one of the ones where I think when he started to get these injuries, these recurring injuries,
Mm.
um, signing João Pedro, who's done a good job, Welbeck, who has become a new Danny Welbeck that we've never seen before, now scoring free kicks. Um, and them also adding players like Ruta to the team, it just makes your pathway to the first team harder. I think
Yeah.
that's the difficulty that he's had. And I don't think he's lost his talent. I think he's just stagnated quite a bit. So he's going to have to go to a place where he can get football. And again, opportunity, because he's going to a club where Fulcro keeps getting injured. And Antonio, as we all know, is out. Well, we don't know when he's coming back. So
Mm.
it's opportunity now. So, you're going to a club where they're saying, look, we need a striker. You're the number 9. Go out there and play. And if I'm correct, I think Basil even called that move. Basil said that it would be good for him to go to West Ham as well, actually, last time we did
Mm.
the pod. So, yeah, hopefully he goes there and does all right, man. He's still young. He's still young. I've got time for him. But, and I did rate him quite highly just because of the bits that I saw of him. I was quite impressed. He wasn't scoring a high number of goals, but his idea of where to be in the box, so to get him fashion himself some chances, movement, it was always there. So yeah, go to West Ham. It's gonna be difficult. West Ham don't create that many chances in general, but just be in the right place, right time, and hopefully get some goals, man. I think if you can get
The,
10 goals between now and May, it's a
mm.
decent return. It's not a bad return.
The good thing is as well, I think they've recalled James Ward-Prowse, haven't they, from his loan? So he'll be back at West Ham. So
Don't know why they sold him, considering they signed a whole load of tour brothers. But yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is.
uh, just reading here as well. So former Tottenham winger Marcus Edwards joins Burnley from Sporting. Basil, what do you think on that one? I don't know. I haven't been following his career in Sporting, so I don't know how well he's been playing over there. But
Why's he going to do?
Yeah, it's a strange move. I don't know. I mean,
Burnley's a
in
bit of a
fairness,
strange one.
yeah. Do you know the funny thing is, if you actually listen, because I say I don't really watch them that much, but if you do actually listen to people who follow like European leagues and they're speaking, obviously they do say he's a talented guy. They say the only issue is he's not consistent.
Mm.
That's the thing. They
Yeah,
said like he's not consistent because obviously if you watch him whenever there's a European match, the pundits and obviously it just shows how much they don't watch. The pundits eulogize over him and talk about him as though like he's this world beater and everything. The
mm.
English pundits on like your TNT Sports and so on when it's European
Yeah, yeah,
campaigns. But I do question like how much do you really watch it? Because what they do, they'll show you the little clips of when he does have it. But if you listen to European correspondents, they'll tell you talented player, just not consistent. And because obviously you can tell when clubs aren't clamoring for you as they should when they're looking for players. So, but it's a very strange move because I would have assumed if he was going to make a move back to England, it would have been maybe a team in the Premier League who are kind of in the bottom 10
yeah,
of a team potentially. Maybe not the relegation team, but maybe ones who are above the relegation between maybe like 17th and maybe 10. That's what
yeah,
I thought would
yeah.
be. The Burnley move is a very strange one because to go back to leave to go to a championship team, it's a strange move leaving Sporting for a championship team. I can only assume the pay package must be better than what he's currently on at Sporting. But yeah, I don't know what it does for his career. It's a strange. It seems like a backwards move to me.
I'd have to agree. I'd assume he might have worked with Scott Parker at when
Yeah,
Parker was at the academy. Tottenham
Yeah,
Academy. So maybe that's where the linkage is. Because I was trying to work out why would you go to Burnley? Or not, no disrespect to Burnley fans, but why would you go from Sporting to Burnley? That's not a really a career path. Like it's not a gateway into your next stage in your career. But I think maybe the connection with Scott Parker, and he's probably worked for him in the academy. I don't think his goal. I mean, I think he's probably scored over 20 goals. I think when I read 24 goals or something since he's been at Sporting. A couple of assists. I think 13 assists in like over 100 games. So maybe it'll fit for him at Burnley. Maybe it's a stepping stone. But I just don't see that move materializing and helping his career at any point in my eyes anyway. But we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. João Felix, another one. Looks like he's on his way out. AC Milan. That deal's nearly done.
Oh,
I'm tired. I'm tired of him. No, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this saga. I'm tired of this club. I'm tired of Chelsea. Kojo, what do you think on that though? It doesn't seem like he can find himself a permanent home which he can sort of thrive on and showcase why a club paid 100 million for him a couple seasons ago. Although I still think that was crazy money at the time. But what do you think on that? What do you think of the AC Milan deal that looks like it's going to get done by 11 p.m.?
it's good luck, isn't it? It's it's so crazy.
And
It's so crazy that someone
I
could
said
show
good luck.
so much potential and talent, and it take one bad move to just spiral your career to a point where it's like you're wanted by all the big names, but you just can't sit anywhere
Mm,
because when you were signed by Atletico Madrid, I was like, this doesn't sound like a Simeone player, and you could see the struggle. They went to Barcelona and it didn't work out there, and that's when Barcelona were also actually no, not were they're always in the mess. When Barcelona's now becoming to their messy era,
mm.
and then then he goes back to Atletico. He's not happy there. Goes to Chelsea. From what I hear from some Chelsea fans, I don't know. You can tell me if it's true or not. It's not so much that he's been poor for Chelsea, but he's not displacing Cole Palmer, not by a long shot. Um, and he's been okay when he's played for Chelsea. He's not had incredible games. If he's had good games, must have been the Conference League. But does he get enough minutes in the Premier League? Again, I
No,
don't really watch enough Chelsea to. Well, there you go then. So that's another one as well. So he's not sitting there either. And Maresca's from day one has said, "Listen, you're playing, you're not playing, you're playing, you're not playing." So that's just where it's going to be. AC Milan might be. It might be it. Is it a loan? Is it a loan move?
I
yeah.
think it's a loan with option. I think, yeah, I think
Okay,
we'll have to see. But
go there. Do you? Look, I think the only thing I can say as a positive right now is that he's got a countryman in Leao there with him, so maybe can help him adapt, get used to the team. But that's
he's got Neto with him right now, though. And he's not
oh yeah.
adapting.
But even
So
even Neto's place is not down. I'm saying like Leao is the guy on that side.
it's
That's his
debatable,
position on the
but
left. So
it's a
maybe
pod for another day.
we'll see I still like João Felix, but
Mm,
yeah, it's getting techie right now, man. It's getting techie right now. So we'll
mm.
see.
I hear that. I hear that. Before we wrap up, I want to get both your thoughts on the press conference that Jordan Henderson had at the weekend. I don't know if you both got to see it, but I want to talk about that. Obviously, there was a massive likelihood that he was going to move from Ajax to Monaco, that's what stemmed the conversation and the question from the journalist over the weekend. And some people saying rightfully so. Jordan Henderson reacted back and questioned the journalist, and there's a bit of back and forth. Basil, let me start with you first. Do you feel like Jordan Henderson was right to do what he done, and also do more players need to start sticking it on the journalists a little bit more and just pushing back when the questions probably aren't appropriate?
I think it's right. I don't. In fairness, I will say this: I don't think anybody did anything wrong. Personally,
Mm,
I think the journalist is right to ask the questions he wants. He has the right to ask because it wasn't because I wouldn't say the journalist was. It depends. Some people may view it as disrespectful. I don't think it was this. I think it was more probing because he didn't get the answer that he wanted from Jordan Henderson. So he
mm,
was just probing on, okay, give me the answers. Now, people may disagree as to whether the approach was right or wrong, but I don't think I didn't have a problem with any of it because I'm like, well, he's a journalist. He's gonna ask probing questions. It's probably the first time I've seen a journalist push in that manner because not many journalists do push in that manner. A lot of journalists, what they do is they're very sneaky. They ask a question and they do the cowardice thing of go and do the article to kind of bash him rather than, but at least this journalist, like, you know what, I'm here. I'm going to probe you to your face rather than do it the cowardice way where they go and write their salacious article about an individual. And it's like, oh, you wouldn't say that to that guy's face. So I actually didn't mind the interaction. And I'm all for Jordan Henderson answering in that way. If you're not happy about it, show you're disgruntled. If you're going to treat me in that way or ask questions in a manner I don't like, I'm going to give you that response. I actually like that. And I think football needs more of that. You need more people just going to be themselves. Because too many times, like, people are just thinking like way too PR-ish in how they do things. And that's the reason why people love Mourinho, because you know you're not going to get any of that PR nonsense. It's like, if you ask me a question a certain way, I'm going to answer you in a certain way. If I don't like something, I'm going to answer in a certain way. And I think we need more people who are just going to be honest and say, I don't like the way you asked me this question, so this is how I'm going to answer. If we need to have a back and forth, we are going to have a back and forth. Because at least, like I said, as much as Jordan Henderson showed his frustration, he still did it in a kind of respectful manner where he didn't get disrespectful about the journalist, or he didn't get personal in terms of like insults and things. It was more, okay, I'm going to answer you with frustration, but it was still done from Jordan Henderson's perspective in a respectful manner, because he didn't say anything he didn't say anything untowards, he didn't say anything that was insulting. He kind of just said, I'm answering you, but in a frustrated way, like, okay, give me your
Mm.
source. Where did you get that from? Oh, that's rubbish. You tell me. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's not, for me, it was nice to see that kind of back and forth between people, because at the same time, we're human. So give a human response. I think fans and individuals who like the sport, I think they appreciate that and respond better to those kind of reactions. It's like, okay, he's real, and I like it when you kind of see the real emotion or person react in a real way. So I enjoyed it personally. I didn't have a problem with the interaction between the pair of them. I found it entertaining, but I enjoyed it.
Mm. I'll share my views in a minute, but Kojo, what do you think? Do you agree with Basil, or do you think a line was crossed maybe by Henderson or journalists?
Um, I would say the line was crossed, but I think as a journalist, if a player tells you 2 or 3 times, I'm not going to give you any further details. You just gonna have to hold that, my friend.
Yeah.
You got, it's one of the ones you can't keep pushing. And I also think Henderson's frustration came from the noise that maybe not that journalist, but other journalists and media outlets had said that he was forcing the move because of the moolah, because of the money. And so you got idiots like the European lad going on Twitter and telling people that he's betraying Ajax as if he's been an Ajax player since the age of 16 years old. Give me a break. Um, but I will say this: this incident aside, journalists and fans are the only people that think they can say whatever they want about players and not get a rebuttal. So sometimes you're gonna have to hold some smoke, and I love it. And
Yeah.
if you got me sitting here praising Jordan Henderson of all people for doing that, well then you deserve to get smoked. So yeah, man, I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he
Yeah,
done that. We need more. We need more of that. Trust me.
we do. I think a lot more players needs to. Basil said it right. There's a lot more players that are just robotic. They go through the motions after the game. You can tell that they're very heavily media trained, and sometimes you got to just put that to the side and say, you know what, I'm not having that. We're not doing that today. And I think there's no. I agree again, Basil, what you said. That there's no harm in a journalist pressing a little bit, but then if the player's not going to give you that, then you have to expect
Yeah.
what comes with that. So yeah, I liked it. I liked it. I'll be honest. I don't think he done anything wrong, and I don't think even if he does want the move for the money,
What's the
so
problem?
what? Yeah,
What's the
so what?
problem?
Like he wants the money. That's the problem. If the move doesn't happen, he's still contracted to Ajax anyway. But I just
Bro,
think this whole it's just mad. It's just mad to me.
yeah, bro. No, you're right though. You're right. Everyone in life, when they're offered a new job with much more money, will
There you go.
Listen,
absolutely dip. But when you're a footballer, that 50K you're earning is enough, my guy. Let me go and John Duran getting noise for going from 75 to 400. Are you crazy? I'm
and
off.
he's
I'm off.
playing with
I'm not doing my
Ronaldo as
70
well.
anymore.
So
Bruv, what do you mean?
Yeah. There you go. Do you know?
you,
I'll say this, Theo. You made a great statement there, because I've always said the same thing. The issue that you have, and I think more footballers need to speak up more, because what happens now is that a lot of footballers have these wrong perceptions about them because journalists can write what they want and there's no rebuttal
yeah,
response. Like, even I'll give an example. I'm not Rashford's biggest fan as a footballer. But then when people talk about his attitude and this, I always hate that because I'm like, show me the evidence. Because the reason why we think he has an attitude problem is because the journalists say it. And
The
because there's
narrative.
no rebuttal, yeah, because there's no rebuttal, the narrative runs. But I'm like, for me, if you're gonna write that, give me an example. Because for me, like, if you're gonna say someone has bad attitude, give me the example. But what happens is they write it and there's no example. Because they'll say,
Yeah.
oh, look, the manager took him off. Oh, his body language. What does that mean?
Mm.
What does that give me an
Well,
example
you
when
want him to be happy to be getting subbed off. You want him to skip off the pitch.
give me an
Like,
example of when he's done something to someone or to the manager where we can say that's out of order, you have an attitude problem. Every time these narrative runs by these journalists and there's no rebuttal. If I was a footballer, there'll be so many rebuttals. I'll sit there and say,
yeah,
give me the example. Give me the exact example. And if you can't give it to me, then I'll say you're speaking rubbish. Never speak my name again. Because then you need to remind these guys that you can't go out and just write whatever you want. And that's why I like what Jordan Henderson did, because then you just allow the narrative to run. If he doesn't say that, what's the next thing? Oh, he's a money hungry, he's a money
yeah.
grabbing individual, and that runs. And then what that does, that stigma is painted you for a lot of your career.
Yeah.
Well, Raheem Sterling's a prime example, and that's why he had to bring out that article. The article he brought out a couple of years ago, where there was one article about a Man City youth player or something, and it was all about promising talent and all this, and then there was another one about Raheem Sterling flying on Ryanair and he's doing all this and that and buying multiple properties, and it's like it's his money. He can do what he wants.
A man can't buy properties now. Imagine.
Bro,
I remember when he bought his mum a house, and they said his mum had a gold. A man can't buy his mum a house and
Listen.
furnish the house.
Raheem Sterling, we just got knocked out of a fight. Got knocked out of the tournament. Why are you buying a house for your mum? Are you
Mum,
Who are you? Who are you?
Listen. That's a pod for another day, man. But we got to touch on that a bit more, because I don't know. I was a little bit surprised that it happened in the Dutch media. I didn't think it was as bad. Like, it seems like it's just as bad there than it is over here. And maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just not. I don't pay attention to it. But yeah, to me, it's disgusting that you can run these narratives and then it's almost like, because I'm sure I've just seen something on my phone and saying like bang out of order Jordan Henderson, but how is he bang out of order for defending himself, for talking about his own personal life, his things, he wants to move, or if he doesn't want to move, who cares? He didn't get the move, so he's still at Ajax. It doesn't matter. Mad.
He's a professional. I didn't get the move. All right, cool. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna work hard. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Is it not what you want?
Do you know how many players that must happen to as well, where they don't get a move, and like it's not like he's on a Peter Odden wingy and he's like flew down the M6 and he's trying to wrangle the move. Like, he hasn't done that. So come on, man. Crazy, man. Crazy. Before we wrap up, one player that you want your team to sign by 11 p.m.
What is
Well,
Kojo
I was going to
showing?
say Mattis Tell, but he's got to hear he go to Tottenham. So
Ain't happening. He's staying at Bayern.
No. He's got to here we go. He's going to Tottenham on loan. He's got to here we go. It's going.
Oh, he's got here we go.
Yeah.
Wait. Let me see this.
Wait, you sure?
And no buy option. Yeah, it's here, bro.
There's no hair. Wait, let me see. I don't see no hair. Wait, let me-
It's here. I'm reading it right now.
Oh my gosh. What? Wait, what?
No. How did they pull this off?
How? Wait, what?
What is going on? Oh my god. Oh, Liverpool. I have to watch
Nah.
Liverpool on the weekend. Oh my god.
Oh my God. I'm actually like burning up. My head's hot already.
Honestly, I genuinely think Arsenal and United must have pulled out for some reason, because there's no way you would choose Tottenham.
But the thing is, he did say he wants regular minutes, so I get it. He's gonna get that at Tottenham. He's gonna get the minutes he wants. He's been craving for. But when your ambitions are down there with Tottenham, I'm sorry, Tottenham fans, but nah, man, I can't respect you. Young kid as well, and you're going to Tottenham.
Wait, but where does he play, Theo?
Where's what?
Number 9.
Where does he play?
Yeah, he'd be a striker.
What, head of Solanke that they spent 65 million on?
Yeah.
At this point, boy.
Yeah, he's got to try and save their season. Like, literally, Solanke had a very good start and he had like moments in games at like the start of the season, but
Fair enough.
I'm I'm
Fair enough.
I'm in shock. I can't even believe it. I don't really care who you want at your club anymore right now. My head's hot. My head is absolutely fried.
Who do I want in my club? Do you know what? I've stopped caring. I don't even care. Honestly, because you know, I already resigned myself to the fact Arsenal not signing anybody. So
You will get
I don't
someone.
even.
You will get someone. You Basil, you
I
will get someone. I'm
don't know why people keep saying this to me. This is people think I have not supported Arsenal for like I've seen this story written with my club. We're not signing anybody. So with me, it's like at this point, I've stopped caring. Whatever will happen. To be honest, I personally don't think Arsenal are going to sign anyone, and I think January is very difficult. So I don't think.
yeah. Well, it is and it isn't.
I don't think there's anyone really readily available for me to say, oh, I would like him at Arsenal personally.
Last minute bid for Ollie Watkins at 10:30. You heard it here first.
Not going to
Boy,
happen.
boy, boy.
I don't know who Chelsea are going to sign, but if it's going to be signing anyone, he's going to be 16, 17, or 18 years of age. That's all
Why
I'm
are
going
you
to
guys
say.
even looking to sign people?
We need a left back though. We do need a left back because we've now got rid of Chilwell. We've got rid of Renato Vega.
Oh, yeah,
Cucurella gets cooked. We ain't got no one to play left back. It might be Gusto. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tariq George there, or I don't know. Levi Colwell might play him as a left wing back or left back, sorry. But I don't know, man. Chelsea need to just sort out the recruitment in the summer, if I'm honest. But here we are, man. Here we are. Kojo Basil, as always. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
yeah.
I'm in shock still. Matisse Tell, man. I can't believe it. My head's literally gone. Please subscribe. Please like the video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. And do not forget to subscribe. All of that good stuff. And we'll be back soon. Another podcast episode. Enjoy the rest of the week, whatever you get up to.